I amassed enough energy to brush my hair and teeth, and I hope I don't pay for it by going nonverbal. So hello, I still feel like shit. But we're going to read a little bit more of Uglies. This is my series where I talk about books to force myself to read them. In the past video, we met our cast, at least part of it. I'm sure we'll meet more. So far, it's just Tally, our main character. She's turning, I think, 16. I'm assuming 16. I don't know that it's been confirmed, but she's turning some special age where she's going to get surgeries to be pretty. Tally's best friend Paris is 3 months older than her, so he's already pretty, and she snuck into New Pretty Town where all the pretties are. These names are very simple, so you'll catch on very fast without watching the previous one if you didn't feel like it. Paris, I don't like so far, but it seems like all pretties are kind of just shallow and mean a little bit. Uglyville is where all the uglies are, and that's where we are right now, because she's not old enough to be pretty yet. This is the real this summer I turned pretty, except maybe it's not summer. I don't know, seasons haven't been mentioned. Maybe they don't have seasons anymore, because this is a futuristic society. It's all utopian. I always say utopian with like a grain of salt because utopias are almost always dystopian. For example, like the capital is a utopia, but the districts are dystopian. But most utopias would not show you the districts. It's all very secretive. You don't know that there are outcasts. In this, I guess there's also outcasts, but it's just ugly people, and they age out of being ugly, so... Tally snuck into New Pretty Town to see Paris, and he was a jerk, and she bungee jumped off of the, frat skyscraper. She hit basically a fire alarm to get the bungee jacket to work, so not only did her, mask fall off so everyone can see that she's an ugly, and she's plummeting to the ground, but she also set off all of these sirens, and now there are hover cars coming, like a manhunt. But she does land. It does work. Somehow. She's sort of spiraling because she's too tall for a pretty. I don't know how exactly they change weight and height, but it's the future. So they can do what they want. Oh, Scar update. They used a penknife and held hands. That's the only information we get, so my assumption's blood sacrifice. We learned a little bit more about the ages. So it seems to go Litlies. I don't know how to say that exactly. I read it littles because that's an easier word, but Litlies is children. And then I'm guessing uglies, though she hasn't really put it in a lineup, but I'm guessing since when you're 16, you become pretty. So everyone between Litlies to 16 are uglies. And then there's new pretties, which we've discussed. And then middle pretties. I don't know if there's then, old pretties, or if they don't get that far. We still don't know. We don't know if they're killing them off. But, honestly, the third chapter was really short, so I immediately jumped into the fourth one, because basically all that happens after she rolls down the hill with the bungee jacket and is sneaking back is that she meets Shay, who she thinks for a while is one of the people searching for her, but then she sees light on her face or something and is like, oh wait, you're ugly. I love so much that that's a thing that they just oh, you're ugly. She meets Shay, and I really like Shay so far. Shay seems very grounded. Shay has also, I notice, a lot of old sayings that Tally doesn't seem as familiar with. Shay used do you say idiom? I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Idiom.
She uses a phrase with roller coaster in it, and Tally doesn't seem to know what a roller coaster is. So Shay has, I guess, a lot of retro knowledge. Maybe she reads a lot of old books or something, because she seems to talk like that a lot. Chapter 1 through 3 was back to back to back to back. It was all one thing. Chapter 4 didn't make it a clear jump necessarily, but they were in a completely different place. So I don't know how much time there's been between this, but Shay and Tally are besties, which makes sense because when we met them, I don't know, their first interaction, they seem like the type of people that just like really easily become friends. They're pretty nice. They don't seem to have like a superiority or inferiority complex, so they can just be like, yo, we should hang out, and then they do. That's always refreshing. Shay was sneaking over too, but she didn't know about the bridge, so she has a hoverboard, and she tricked her hoverboard into not knowing its location or something so that she can like sneak over into New Pretty Town. So now she's teaching Tally how to hoverboard, and that at this park. I don't know if it looks something like a skate park or if it's just like a normal grassy park. All I know is that there are flags, so there's sort of a setup like route. I don't think that's the right word for it. She's teaching her how to go through all of the flags and make the right turns. And it's a really interesting setup. I love all of the mechanics that they came up with for this world. Like, there are these bracelets that are super powered magnets. So if you fall off of the hoverboard, it like swings you around by your wrists because the momentum has to go somewhere. That way you're not like crashing into things, which I thought was really smart. We can do whatever we want with like scientific and technological advancements, but the laws of gravity will still exist. Probably. So, while they were hanging out, it's mentioned that apparently no one but Tally's parents and like a few stuck-up teachers actually call her Tally. Everyone else calls her Squint. So apparently your ugly nickname is not even a nickname. It's like, that's your name. Well, you're an ugly. So I guess you just start suddenly going by your actual name when you become a pretty. Which I guess kind of makes sense because they keep talking about it as like a new start. Like, it's not just another step of your life, but you kind of like have a completely different new life. You're a different person, yada yada, when you get to New Pretty Town. So my note is, I do forgive Paris on that one crime. I still dislike him, but that one thing is okay. And that's basically all my notes. They just hoverboarded. Both chapters didn't give us a whole lot, but that's fine because the first two were very engaging. So I'm already locked into the story. Oh, they have the same birthday. Very weirdly, coincidentally, these two uglies sneaking over to New Pretty Town, which is supposedly not a common thing, they also have the exact same birthday. And Shay was kind of weird about it. Like, Tally was really excited, like, oh, yay, so we don't even have to, like, wait for one another. Like, we'll become, like, pretties at the same time. And she's like, yeah, I guess. I don't know what that's about. I don't know. But, like, Shay seems to have problems with, like, pretties. I think she's just, like, a little rebellious or something. Because Shay's like, I wouldn't wait anyway. Like, if I was pretty, I would just come back and hang out with you. Like, we're allowed. Pretties are allowed in Uglyville. I forget which one of them asks it, but one of them is like, I wonder why no one does come back. And the other one's like, because we're ugly. And that's how the chapter ends. Okay. So, chapter 5 gave us a little bit more insight into why they're pretty, and so it all takes place in Tally's bedroom, and Shay's there with her, and she's looking through different models of herself on like her wall screen. It's basically like a projector, but the screen being the wall, you know, it's future. Basically, you scan your face, I'm guessing your body too, and it shows you yourself, and then like the first step is to make everything symmetrical. So there's these two sides that show up, and one of them is like the left side twice and the other's the right side twice, and I thought the description of it was really funny. Like, one of them looks like really disinterested, like they don't want to be there, and one looks like really angry and sharp, because you know, like, the different halves of your expression are interesting. It also kind of tells you like what Shay's expression was like when Tally was making her do this, because that, like, I don't know, I'm kind of assuming it's something like that. And Shay definitely seems more that, like, classic, sporty, disinterested, whereas Tally's a lot more normal, I guess, like, wants to fit in, likes the whole system and everything. Shay's a lot more, why are we doing this? Why are we looking at how we could look better? The whole point of this activity is to make us feel bad about ourselves. Like, why do you want to feel ugly? And Tally's like, we are ugly. I liked how you could kind of see both sides. I mean, obviously, I think we're coming from a more, like, Shay viewpoint, but Tally's also more of a product of her community, you know? And we've seen enough of it to understand why Tally thinks the way she does. So they're kind of designing it. Cleopatra gets mentioned as they're looking through different options for each other. I think it's Shay who's like, I don't even think she was that attractive. She won people over with her intelligence. And Tally's like, yeah, right. And it's like, have you seen a photo of her? There weren't photos back then. Exactly. So why do you think she was ugly? She probably had, like, the biological features that they didn't understand. Their beauty standards were different back then. And it's interesting the way they talk about different beauty standards. Like, they are aware that it changes with time. But again, it seems like prettiness isn't like, oh, this is their current beauty standard, so everyone's looking like an Insta model, but like, oh, all of these features have a very specific reason that your brain acknowledges it as attractive. And, you know, Shay again is very like, ugh, I don't even want to turn 16 and do all of these things. I wish I could just stay ugly as you say I am. Like, I don't want to just look like everyone else. And Tally's like, yeah, because everything was so great when everyone was ugly. Do you not remember that lesson in history class? And even Shay's like, yeah, I know it was bad, but they're describing it like tall people got jobs just because they were taller, and people would kill each other for this color of their skin. This is the only way to make everyone equal, is for them to all be pretty. I found that so interesting that this is supposed to be like a cure to like racism, ableism, transphobia probably. All of these issues are supposed to be fixed by making everyone look the same. It kind of makes sense, and to see the way that they view things, and also what issues would lead people to accept it as an automatic choice and not just, oh, if you care about that kind of thing. Shay is described as having an olive skin tone, and Shay kind of steps in when Tally's like, oh, we could make it a little bit lighter, pulls it to baseline, and she's like, who is this again? Who's this body? Like, I thought this was me. I found it interesting because it's clear in the society that there isn't a huge cultural tie to ethnicity or anything. So whatever ethnicity Shay may be, I don't think it's I feel connected to this skin tone because this means something about me and my heritage and I don't want to lose that. But simply that this is a part of me and I don't want to change my identity to fit in with everyone else. Which, like, yeah, solid. I really like her opinions on things, but I also like the way that Tally describes it. Oh, she's always argumentative about things, and it definitely seems that way. Shay isn't presented as, like, the correct opinion, and neither is Tally. They both just disagree, which I always love in writing. I just feel like they're different personalities, but they're clearly besties. They're hanging out all the time. I love to see it. I love understanding more of the technology, getting to see the wall screen and how everything works. Honestly, when she started talking about the wall screen, I thought she was talking about changing what was being presented on the wall screen. And I thought that was how wallpaper worked at first. And honestly, it might. And I'm starting to remember, like, did I see an excerpt of this that was changing the room by talking to it? Or was that like some random Pinterest comment writer being like, oh, this would be an interesting idea? You know, I don't know where I saw that. But I like the idea, which may or may not be related to this story. I don't know. I can't remember. So that was chapter 5. I'm ready to go ahead and jump into chapter 6. I feel like we're going through things pretty quickly, and each thing that we already understand, oh, I know who Tally is, oh, I know how this works, there's less to explain each chapter. Shit, I ran out of chapters. I think they have 5 free chapters. So I might go ahead and start my next book.
One day later.
Ignore the peanut butter because my arm is too tired to keep moving it. That's where I'm propping my iPad to read on. Listen, I'm not doing well today, but I want to read and share stuff with you guys anyway, so deal. Okay, chapter 6, very interesting. I can't wait to read the next chapter because this is all sort of build up to it. Shay and Tally are discussing sneaking out of like the city limits to go see the ruins. So you know how I had questions in the first one about it being called New Pretty Town and Uglyville? Like, those would lead you to believe these are both very small areas, right? Ville and town. It's not city or empire or something, you know? And yeah, we got some confirmation of that. So it seems like outside of the city limits there are ruins, and they just call them Rusty Ruins. Again, I'm in love with these names. They're so simple. And there's only trees, mountains, and ruins outside the city. So yeah, it does seem like a very limited society. But Tally also mentions in like her narration, like her internal monologue, that the ruins are from the cities back when people were ugly and dumb and there were way too many of them. So it doesn't seem like they think that like this society is way too small and like, oh no, are humans gonna make it? They seem to think this is the ideal amount of people. I wonder what happened to get rid of the overpopulation crisis. I don't know. We learn a bit more about like the whole system. There's something called the Green Belt, and I'm just throwing it out here in case we need the name again later. It separates the middle and late pretties from the youngsters, and I don't know if the youngsters refers to uglies or new pretties or both, but they're separated from the youngsters. It also says older generations live in suburbs with the Litleys, because I was curious about this. She also mentions their teachers and stuff, but they also talk about how none of the pretties come back to Uglyville. So I don't know if it's sort of like the US where like teachers are just taking one for the team and going back to really bad situations just to help kids that take them for granted. Or if maybe some people stay ugly and they're forced to then be teachers. I don't know how it runs in this society, but I did notice that when Tally was sneaking out, all she was doing to sneak out was taking off her ring and stuff. She wasn't worried about her parents finding out, so I don't know that she lives with her parents. I think the house system takes care of her, and I guess everyone's just separated by ages, so it seems like Litleys, like when you're really small, live with the parents in their own place, and then when they get old enough they're shipped over to Uglyville, which is that's such a downgrade, but that is what puberty feels like. So accurate representation, honestly. They also talk about the suburbs outside of Uglyville and New Pretty Town. And Tally calls it Dullsville, which I would just assume is like, ugh, that's Dullsville, that's lame-o town. Except that all of the names really are like that, so I don't know if there are suburbs outside of this city that is called Dullsville, like that's the name of it. I don't know. That's basically all the information that we've gathered. And then Shay wants to sneak out and go to the ruins. And the way that they're doing that is they're going down the river to where the, like, white water is. And Tally doesn't know what white water is. And Shay is like, that's when the water gets fun. If you know what white water rafting is, I think most people know what white water is referring to. I've only ever heard white water rafting though. Like, do you call it rapids or are those two different things? Anyway, they're going down that way because the skimmers aren't there, and I think skimmers are like water skiers, basically. Or the skimmers might be the name that they have for like the boats. And maybe the boats hover too, and that's why they're called skimmers, because they're not actually in the water. That would make sense. I don't know. I like that Tally doesn't narrate like you don't know what she's talking about. She narrates as if we all are operating under the same context. So she doesn't spell things out for us. I think that's it. That's all to chapter 6. So I'm excited for chapter 7 because Shay also mentions showing Tally a roller coaster. So I'm wondering if the ruins have it or if it's like beyond the ruins. And if there's anything about me, I love a roller coaster and I love some ruins, and I am completely obsessed with an overgrown theme park. So I really hope that's what we're about to see. I'm really excited for this. Let's go ahead and get into chapter 7. Also, I'm sorry, the door is creaking. I don't know if you can tell. but I can't get up and close it for you. So we'll have to suffer together. What a splendid chapter. We haven't reached the roller coasters yet, but this one was named Rapids, so I think I was correct that that's like interchangeable with white water. Anyway, first note is 16 confirmed. Everything else being so simple, I didn't think they were going to reach. But I didn't make a note of this. I just was going to remember it. But this is written so well. The names being so simple and you're just hearing my explanations. You wouldn't really think it, but you should definitely read the book. I love the descriptions that it uses. I love like the playfulness and the way that Shay speaks or the way that Tally narrates. It's very engaging. It's very clear. I love stuff like that. And it's fun. They're not overusing words just because the words are simple. All the other words that they use are like good words. This feels so stupid. My second note is, damn, Shay called out pretty boy. So Tally is afraid to go to the ruins with Shay because she made a promise to Paris when she went to visit him in New Pretty Town that she wouldn't do any big risky things so she wouldn't get in trouble so that he could see her all pretty. It sounds, I think, worse than it is. Because he was not like, go put on makeup. It's not that kind of thing. Like, pretty is kind of another age. It's like, I want to see you survive, almost. You know what I mean? But Shay called him out, talking about, I've never heard of someone messing up so badly that they weren't turned pretty. And Tally's like, yeah, but, like, if they did, would they talk about it? Yeah. Rule number 1 of parenting is that you threaten children with, like, the worst case scenario. This isn't me saying that that's how you should parent. I'm just saying that that's how people do it. So I think at least, like, exhausted teachers would be like, if you keep this up, they're not going to turn you pretty. Shay says, Tally, do you think maybe he just said that so you wouldn't come around again? Maybe he made you promise to take it easy so you wouldn't bother him anymore. To make you afraid to go to New Pretty Town again. And Tally was just like, I felt so bad. Like, you could feel her reaction. Like, her throat closed up so bad that it was hard to answer. And she's just like, and it's so awkward. And Shay is such a sweetheart. You wouldn't necessarily think it when she's all like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to go boarding. And like, ugh, your friend says this. Like, she's a slap of reality to Tally, which is something that Tally needs. Because Tally's a lot more, don't question anything that's told to you. Don't do things out of the ordinary. So I think Shay is very grounding to that. And in the, opposite direction, I think Tally's grounding for Shay, who's very much like, all of this, I'm going to do all these like rebellious things, and Tally's like, okay, let's calm down. So I think they're a really good duo. Shay's also testing out how the board works with the navigation stuff turned off so it won't rot them out. When Tally's like, sorry, I don't mean to be a wimp about this, Shay immediately is like, no, you're not a wimp. I'm just excited you're doing this with me. And she's like all smiley, they're holding hands. I love their friendship. It's very pure in my eyes, and I think Shay's a really good person. I really like Shay. And I love Tally too. I feel like I definitely relate more to Shay than Tally. But that doesn't mean that I think Tally's dumb or boring or anything. And not just because her society is different, so her societal norms are like more interesting than our basic bitches. I like basic bitches. I think they're cute. Because if all of us were Manic Pixie Dream Girls, none of us would be. Another thing that I liked about the world building is that they can't hoverboard in the forest since it's all magnetic. Like, the bracelets and the hoverboard runs on magnets, and the city has iron grids beneath it. So no matter where you are in Uglyville, or I'm guessing also New Pretty Town, there's going to be enough iron that you can hover. Tally's like, why can we hoverboard over the river then, and Shay's like, it's like panning for gold. There's a lot of minerals in the river, so we don't have to worry about that. They're trekking through the forest after they go past the rapids, but they hit a place where there's a lot of iron under the ground where they can hop back on their boards for a bit before they reach the ruins. And I really like the way that, again, Shay explains things and like points things out and knows how they work, because she is like, you'll feel it in your bracelets. And Tally's like, I don't know about that. But then she starts feeling it pulling her closer. And I really like this system of like how the magnets work and everything. I do find it interesting like how high they can be. Like the magnets are clearly very, very strong. But yeah, the whole system's fascinating to me. I like the way it works. And then they just hit the ruins when it ended. The next chapter is called Rusty Ruins, I believe. I'm thrilled. I'm happy to be here. I love this book. I really do. I hope it doesn't disappoint me. I think the one thing that I'm a little nervous about is, call me a hopeless romantic, but I love classic romantic attraction. And you know that I was kind of disappointed in the first chapter when we learned that our best friend Paris is a boy, but it doesn't seem like they have a romantic connection at all. And then this entire first section of the story is all focused on the relationship with Shay, who I don't think either of them are gay, so I don't think that's happening either. It just seems like both friendships are very platonic, though I will say on Tally's end it seems like she has a kind of crush on Paris, but it seems like she's accepted he doesn't like her back. It's not one-sided pining so much as she would be open to that and he's not. Which is very real. Very real. I like these relationships. I hope that when Shay becomes pretty, that she still got her Shayness to her. I am interested to see that. I almost wonder if Shay will run away and not turn pretty. And then if that happens, will Tally keep her promise and still see her? Or will the pretty stuff mess with her mind and like she won't want to be friends with ugly Shay anymore? What's her name? Skinny? I guess with the romantic attraction, I'm hoping there's a romance somewhere in the story. Super glad, as I said, that it's not like the main focus right now. But I love a romance in a story. I really do. Because I feel like platonic connection is so freaking amazing. And I will say, if a platonic relationship goes far enough and it's like, yeah, we're platonic soulmates, I don't need you to make out. I just love partners. I love monogamy. I love just like loyalty and devotion and connection. So I'm ready to see souls entwine. That's what I signed up for. Every time I open a book, that's kind of what I sign up for. Because I've actually seen like Reddit polls on, hey, if a story has 0 romance in it, will you read? And I thought, like, obviously, duh. And they even like pointed out like group dynamics are great. Like all of the friends are very close. It's just not romantic. And I was surprised at the amount of people who wouldn't read it or would just prefer that there was at least like a little bit of romance in it. I think it's sort of expected and almost a given in fiction, especially for young adults, which I think Uglies is. Right now, it's the young side of young adults. I don't, like, they talk about the pleasure gardens, but they don't spell anything out. So far, it seems very clean, which I like. My concern with the attraction is just that pretties are attracted to pretties, and everyone's attracted to pretties, and pretties all look kind of the same. And the thing that's cool about a world where everyone's not getting surgery to look exactly the same is that we're not just ugly people and pretty people, and so it's unfair. People are attracted to different people. I think every single crush I have or have ever had, every like celebrity, every character, every real person that I'm like, oh, I love this person, they're so cute or they're so hot, I really like their personality, anything that I find attractive about someone, my sister is like like retching. We have opposite types because it's also the same, because she loves like airbrushed looking people, but she also likes more rounded features, and I like very sharp features, but I love blemishes, quirks. I like some edge. I love boniness. I like jagged features. I like some asymmetrical going on. Our types are very opposite, and so someone who's like super hot to me isn't to her. And I think in a world like that, attraction is so fun because you never know who's gonna catch your eye and like who the person's going to be into. You never know like how attractive you are in someone else's eyes, even if like half of the world thinks you are an uggo, you know? You don't know. And there's definitely more conventionally attractive people, or like people who are actually sort of excluded, and they might not feel like they'll ever be attractive in someone's eyes, but they will be. They will be. Yeah, so like the really hot people, the Margot Robbie and Madison Beers of the world, are obviously going to have like more people attracted, but I really feel like there's someone for everyone. And I feel like it kind of steals all the fun if there's not sort of that distinction. It seems like the main difference is hair and eye color. So I don't know, like you could find someone that you find really attractive, but are you going to have that movie moment where like, whoa, out of all the rest you stand out? Or I mean, kind of the point of the pretty surgery is that everyone's equal. So you're not going to be like, oh, they stand out in a room. It's like, oh, we connect emotionally and you're pretty. Because of course you are. So I'm dreading that a little bit. But I think everything else in the story, I'm really looking forward to. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Most of these utopian dystopian stories, the main character doesn't do what all of the other people are doing. So I'm curious to see, like, is she not going to become pretty? What's going to happen there? Is she going to become pretty, but then she's going to uncover things? It's very fascinating. I do hope that we get more insight from a pretty perspective, even if Tally and Shay don't become pretty, because I'm just really, really interested in how all of this works.